Hello! Today I'd like to talk about how to become powerful in Fallout 76, specifically in combat. In the last video we covered perks that you can use to hit harder and stay alive longer. In this video we'll cover mutations and how you can use them to enhance your character's abilities even further. So far I've focused on highlighting some of the weapons, armor, perks, and mutations that come into play when you're trying to build your character. But to make it easier, I'll follow up with a video on how I've built my own character, why I've chosen my gear, followed up by trying out a bloody build. If you're interested, subscribe and hit the bell button if you want to be notified when they get released. Mutations are a new feature in Fallout 76. You're formally introduced to them in the main quest, although you can pick them up before then by radiation. Normally they have benefits and penalties to balance them out. So for instance, getting Egghead improves your intelligence by 6, but reduces your strength and endurance by 3 each. So the idea is that you can become stronger in one area by sacrificing another. But with the right perk cards, you can basically cancel out the penalties and just keep the bonuses. That's when they become truly powerful. Class Freak directly reduces the penalties by 75%, so the strength and endurance penalties for Egghead become 0. The things that depend on them like carrying capacity will be reduced. You still keep your plus 6 bonus to intelligence. As long as you're willing to spend 3 perks in luck to max out Class Freak, there's only very small downsides to getting mutations. On top of that, you can get strange in numbers under Charisma to increase the bonuses by 25%. You have to be in a team with other players with mutations, but most players have mutations anyway, so it's almost guaranteed to work. So with those 2 perks, Egghead gives you an intelligence bonus of plus 8, but no penalties to strength or endurance. There's no reason not to get as many useful mutations as possible that fit your playstyle. You get random mutations from radiation. It's a chance-based thing, so the more radiation, the more likely you get a mutation. But you can only get 1 mutation per day unless you swap servers. To remove mutations, you reduce your radiation by radaways or radiation archers. Another way is to make or buy mutation serums. The recipes cost 20,000 caps each, and you need stable flux to make them. But most player vendors sell them for 200 to 500 caps each, so it's much better to buy them than to make them. I recommend going around player camps looking for the ones that sell them and stocking up around 3 to 5 of each serum you want, especially if you're getting a lot of mutations. Enabling the Starch Genes perk will also make sure you don't acquire or lose mutations. This is particularly good to activate when you're in high radiation situations, like in a nuclear blast or you're mining ore in radiation rumble. And when you're removing that radiation, it's too easy to get and lose mutations, so enabling Starch Genes before taking Radaway is a must if you want to keep them. I'll split the mutations into 3 groups, and list the bonuses and penalties when you have level 3 Class Freak and Strange in Numbers enabled. These are the ones that are good for everybody and every build. Herd Mentality gives you plus 3 to all attributes when you're in a group, and minus 2 to all attributes when you're not. But it also works when you're the only member of a group, so you only need to create a new group to activate it. Basically you should be getting the bonus at all times. The only downside is that you can't use Lone Wanderer, but the bonuses from being in a group and Herd Mentality together are better than what Lone Wanderer gives you. Speed Demon gives you a 25% boost to movement and reloading speed, at the cost of 50% more hunger and thirst. But food is so easy to get that this is a freebie, and the reloading bonus makes a noticeable difference. Marsupial allows you to jump higher and carry 25 more, but you lose 1 intelligence. The jumping bonus doesn't seem like much, but it opens up a lot of places like rooftops that you couldn't access before, and it's great for getting the high ground during events. Getting Egghead will give you plus 8 to intelligence. Normally it's supposed to decrease your strength and endurance, but it doesn't actually decrease attributes. It does decrease the derived stats like carry capacity and hit points, but it doesn't actually decrease the attributes because the penalty is less than 1. This mutation is good to get, because more intelligence means more experience. 8 points is 40% more experience, and more experience is always good. Adrenal Reaction gives you the same bonuses as the bloody legendary effect on weapons, so up to 80% more damage if your health is at 20% or less. You give up 12 hit points, but this is basically nothing if you're a high enough level. This bonus is on top of whatever your weapon legendary effects and perks give you. It's the main reason why low health builds cause so much damage, but it's also a nice little bonus to have even if you play on a full health. Bird Bones makes you fall slower and gives you a plus 5 to agility at the cost of minus 1 strength. It's great if you combine it with a jump jet and marsupial because it allows you to fly, but if you don't have a jump jet, you can't skip it. Eagle Eyes gives you a 75% bonus to critical damage and +5 perception, but a -1 to strength. You can get it for the perception bonus, but it's strongest when you specialize in getting as many VATS criticals as possible. Grounded gives you +125 energy resistance, but you do 12% less energy damage. It's definitely worth getting if you never use lasers and energy weapons, but it might be worth it even then for the extra resistance. Same with Scaly's skin. It gives you +62 damage and energy resistance at the cost of 12 action points. Typically you'll have enough action points that the penalty won't matter, so this mutation is pretty worthwhile. Carnivore and Herbivore give you 2.5 times the buffs from eating meat and plant products respectively, but you also can't get any buffs from the opposite type of food. So for example, cooked rat stack normally gives you +20 carrying capacity, but with Carnivore you get +50 extra carrying capacity. They can be very powerful, but you have to know what foods you need for the buffs you like and plan accordingly. Twisted Muscles give you +37% more damage to your melee and more chance to cripple, but you're 12% less accurate with guns. It's great if you're a heavy melee user, but it does make a noticeable difference to gun accuracy, so it's not really worth it if you prefer guns. These are only useful in very specific situations, or not very useful. Electrically Charged gives you a chance to cause electrical damage to melee enemies, but you take some damage too. Same with Unstable Isotope, but it causes radiation damage. Both of these aren't guaranteed to trigger, and don't cause enough damage to deliberately go after them. They're not actually bad if you get them randomly, but unless you're going melee, it's better to just focus on stopping enemies getting close enough to hit you. Plague Walker gives you a poisonous aura depending on how many diseases you have. The problem with this one is that diseases only last for an hour in real time in the game, so this mutation will not do enough damage to make a difference. And on top of that, it cancels your ability to be stealthy. Talons looks like it might help in melee, but it doesn't because it only enhances your unarmed damage by 35% and it costs -1 agility. Most melee weapons are better than unarmed ones, so this just isn't worth the trouble. Healing Factor gives you regeneration outside combat, but it makes chems like Stimpaks 14% less effective. But the game gives you so much food that you can heal with that it's not worth it. If it healed you during combat, then it might be worth looking at, but as it is, you shouldn't bother. Empath makes you the tank by reducing damage to your teammates by 25%, but it increases the damage you take by 33%. If you have max level class Freak and Strange in numbers, plus teammates that have the same, you can actually both get a small positive damage reduction. But for the amount of trouble involved, the benefit is just too small to bother with. Mutations are easy to overlook, but they can really enhance your style. I would recommend getting all the must-haves and most of the optionals. The difference can be quite significant, especially if you go for a low health build and VATS critical style. Across the past 4 parts, we've covered all the key aspects that you need to consider to do well in the game. If you have an understanding of how weapons, armor, perks, and mutations work, you're well on your way to being able to beat all enemies in the game. You should experiment to find what exact mix works best for your style, but I'll make 2 more follow-up videos, one covering my current power armor build, and the final one covering a low health VATS focus build. See you then. Thanks for watching all the way to the end. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Feel free to leave a like, subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified when new videos come out. See you soon.